I'm Brian Cockface, and welcome to the wonders of rehashing. Yes, you too can pass off a product as your own without having any original ideas. But if you want to be more clever and sneaky about it, you'll better use my small franchise collider, combining elements from multiple different series and passing it off as your own. Amazing! Let me demonstrate. Here's some Neon Genesis Evangelion, some JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and a little bit of Ghost in the Shell just for good measure. Now let's see what new and original product comes out the other end. Huh, better than I thought. And that's how this game was made. Okay, not really, but you can kind of see where I'm coming from. Hi, I'm Chrissy Bill, and as you've probably guessed, I'm reviewing Astral Chain for the Switch. The latest game brought out by Platinum Games that borrows from a certain few anime that you may have heard of. But let's not dilly-dally and get into the review. In the late 21st century, a meteor crashes into Earth, releasing a bunch of extra-dimensional entities called chimeras to attack humanity. Not to be confused with the chimeras from the Resistance series, which you can see in some of my other reviews. The remains of humanity have retreated to an artificial island called the Ark, and their lead scientist, who is totally not evil, called Yosef, has found a way to capture a small number of chimeras and tame them into ones he calls legions, and putting them under the command of a special section of the police force called Neuron. You play as one of two twins, and depending on the twin you select, the other twin will be called Akira Howard and be a main NPC throughout the game. The two twins are recruited to Neuron during a chimera attack by their adoptive father and current commander of the Neuron Task Force, and each are given a legion to fight alongside them. After trying to track down a series of missing person cases, they find out that people are being abducted by chimeras. Neuron pursues them into the astral plane, only for the Neuron members except yours to have their legions go out of control, one of them killing your father. Your job now is to try and track down the rogue legions and recapture them. Along the way, Akira is attacked by his former legion and left catatonic. After you recapture that legion, Akira is taken off to the Aegis Research Facility for treatment. In the meantime, a new threat has emerged from the former scientist turned terrorist Jenna Anderson. She plans on attacking the city with a group of modified chimeras called homunculi. After you defeat a bunch of chimera, recapture a legion, and kill a homunculus, you pursue her into the astral plane, where she reveals that the chimeras in the astral plane have come to reabsorb all life on Earth, so that life can be started anew, that this has been an endless cycle that has happened before, and that is all done under the supervision of a group of higher dimensional entities. She leaves behind a bunch of information that is later decrypted by a guy named Hal, revealing that you and your brother were born during a pandemic caused by chimeras. That bit of the city has been sealed off, and now some dodgy stuff seems to be going on down there. And you and Hal decide to check it out without Neuron's permission. When you arrive there, you meet up with a group called the Hermits, led by a guy named Kyle, as opposed to Herman's Hermits. They're using a drug called Blue Shift to help them fight chimeras, only for it to turn out that Blue Shift slowly turns the person that drinks it into a chimera. That Blue Shift has been made by the Aegis Research Facility, and Jenna Anderson has run off with a bunch of the stuff. After fighting another homunculus, you're saved by your brother equipped with a brand new legion. You are then briefly incarcerated for going to a place you weren't supposed to. And then you're released to help Neuron fight another homunculus. After you defeat the homunculus, clean up the mess it made, and recapture the last of the rogue legions, you then fight another homunculus. Jenna then downs a bunch of blue shift and heads after Yosef to kill him for being evil, despite the fact that she never actually tells anyone what he's doing. You catch up with Jenna and defeat her. She then downs even more blue shift, turning into what I could only describe as a bondage seraphim. You defeat her again, but then fall to the ground and seemingly die, only to merge with your legion and transform into an out-of-control abomination that tries to kill Akira. Then Jenna Anderson steps in the way, trying to protect him, and gets killed instead. At this point, Yosef turns up with his all-new legion-wielding task force called the Ravens, and seemingly kills your character again. You then wake up days later, having been saved by a bunch of your ex-Neuron colleagues. You then help them track down one of their friends who's on the run from the Ravens, only to bump into Akira, who's now in charge of the Ravens, wondering what the hell is going on. The Ravens then ambush both of you, and Yosef reveals that all the Ravens are clones of Akira. The clones then kill Akira. Akira merges with his legion and proceeds to kill the clones. You then merge with your legion, now fully in control, and beat the crap out of Akira until he calms down. Akira then teams up with you and you head off to take down Yosef. Akira then has a brief mental breakdown where he can't decide if he's the real Akira or just another clone. You solve the problem by beating the shit out of him again. Yosef then shows up, revealing his master plan. He wants to absorb the remains of humanity into a collective neural network called Noah by using the Akira clones as a catalyst. The Akira clones are absorbed into Noah, then Akira and Yosef merge with Noah. Noah transforms into a gigantic three-headed abomination that then absorbs you. With you inside, you beat the shit out of Noah's core. Yosef shows up, monologuing about how you can't defeat him, only for Akira to show up and immediately defeat him. You then have a final battle against Noah's final form, and Akira manages to take control of Noah long enough for you to attempt to deliver the final blow, and end credits. Excuse me? What? As it turns out, to get the real ending, you have to select New Game Plus, in which it reveals a short cutscene that Neuron has reformed, Chimera encounters have been slowly decreasing, and Akira is alive. Although it might be a clone. Or this is the original Kira that was in Aegis Research Facility and the one you were fighting alongside with and died was the clone, or... I don't fucking know! The game is basically a hack and slash with a few extra elements added. The main mechanic revolves you controlling your character with the left analog stick and your legion with the right analog stick. You can attack with R2 using either a baton, a sword or a small gun. Your legion attacks automatically what's nearest to it, but can be withdrawn and summoned by pressing the L2 button. You have 5 different legions to utilise. The sword one that can slice through objects and cure people tainted by the chimeras. The bow legion that can shoot enemies, items and buttons. The fist legion who can fist enemies, punch enemies, lift and throw objects and carry over hazardous materials. The dog legion that can dig things up, track things down, and you can ride on its back to go really fast. And the axe legion that uses a sword and creates a shield around itself to protect you from enemies and hazardous materials, and can also destroy things with shields. You can use your astral chain between your character and their legion to bind up enemies and slingshot them if they try to charge at you. You can also upgrade your legion with special attacks and abilities. The combat is pretty good, but I wouldn't say it's as fun or fluid as some of Platinum's other games in the past. The gameplay is usually separated into 3 parts: training at the police headquarters, tracking things down in the main city for either the main quest or side quests, and fighting chimeras either in the city or in the astral plane. The graphics are really good despite the game being on the Switch. In fact, I'd say they're on par with anything from the Xbox One or PS4. The game has an art style that's very anime-esque with a heavy cyberpunk feel. It's certainly more functional than another cyberpunk game that I shan't mention. The music is really good too. It has a very techno feel mixed in with some orchestral sections that feel reminiscent of Bach. And the music changes appropriately depending on the situation you're in. Anything to add, Music Meister? Well, not really. You've pretty much said anything I would have said. Oh well, I guess there's always next time. This game is entertaining and mostly solid. While the story is a bit convoluted and nonsensical, it borrows a bit too heavily from other things, and the gameplay isn't quite as good as some of Platinum's other games, I still think this is a really good game. Well, that's all from me. See you guys next time. Astral Train for Astral Train! Boy, that's gonna be a running gut, isn't it? Today I'm reviewing Astral Train.
You
I did it again.
No, you said chain.
I was stuck in between the two. You'll have 5 different you can